Every day, folks on Twitter scream about how bi and other MSPIC folks, aka what is generally defined as those attracted to more than one gender, don't face nearly as much struggle, bigotry, or oppression as mono gays and mono lesbians. Mono generally being defined as attraction to solely or near solely one gender, due to MSPIC folks' reduced level of visible or actual queerness. Often as justification for this, it is alleged that the overwhelming majority of bi and other MSPIC folks are in so-called straight-passing relationships anyways, and therefore cannot experience the same levels of bigotry, oppression, and struggle. When bi and other MSPIC folks attempt to so much as suggest that they may be struggling just as much as mono lesbians and mono gays, or in any way push back against this narrative, we are immediately shut down of accusations of straight-passing privilege, anti-lesbian hate, or anything else in that vein. However, bi and other MSPIC folks are right to push back, as this commonly accepted narrative is far from the truth, and in a way, is the complete opposite of the truth. For one, the claim that the overwhelming majority of MSPIC women who are dating men is entirely false. A study from 2019 found that bi women are actually slightly more likely to be dating women than they are to be dating men, with a little over 48% of bi women in relationships being with women, 47% being with men, and around 4% being with non-binary folks. And even if this claim were true, it wouldn't negate anything about how queer or oppressed bi and other MSPIC folks are. There's no measurable hierarchy of queerness where this queer group is more queer than this queer group, that is more queer than this queer group, that's more queer than this queer group, and so on and so forth. We're all just as queer as one another. And to say or act as if the truth is otherwise does nothing but harm all queer folks, especially those considered by queer folks to be not queer enough or too queer. Those who are considered too queer are often victim blamed for why queer folks are so oppressed, when the truth of the matter, it's because of bigots, not because of queer folks being too queer. And those considered not queer enough are often denied the same resources and protections as other queer folks, despite those queer groups often facing the same levels of, if not also additional layers of, discrimination, oppression, and bigotry. This takes us to the fact that in every area measured among mono gays, mono lesbians, mono straight folks, and bi and other MSPIC folks, nearly always, if not just plain always, have the worst outcomes. This ranges from sexual violence to intimate partner violence to representation in media to mental health to other healthcare needs to poverty rates to stalking and more. Let's take a quick look at some of the statistics that I'll have sources for linked in the description. 61% of bi women have reported experiencing intimate partner violence at some point in their lives, compared to 44% of mono-lesbian women and 35% of mono-straight women. Similarly, over 37% of bi men have reported experiencing intimate partner violence at some point in their lives, compared to 29% of mono-straight men and 26% of mono-gay men. Over 80% of bi women have reported experiencing contact sexual violence at some point in their lives, compared to 60% of mono-lesbian women and 53% of mono-straight women. It has also been found that both bi women and bi men experience higher rates of poverty than mono-lesbian women and mono-gay men. Using the USA as an example, 12% of mono-gay men are in poverty, 18% of mono-lesbian women are in poverty, 20% of bi men are in poverty, and a huge 29% of bi women are in poverty. Furthermore, a multitude of studies have found that bi and other MSPIC folks, regardless of gender, experience more barriers to accessing healthcare than mono-lesbian women, mono-gay men, and mono-straight folks, which is in line with bi and other MSPIC folks' worst health outcomes overall, ranging from mental health to STDs to chronic health conditions to cancer and more. One study found, for example, that among mono-gay men, mono-lesbian women, and bi folks showed the highest rates of anxiety and depression. Moreover, in 2024, despite the claim that bi folks are overrepresented in media, bi and other MSPIC folks only comprise 24% of queer characters on scripted broadcasts, cable, and streaming, despite making up the largest block of the queer community by far at over 57% of queer folks. While many argue that these struggles are merely due to bi women's proximity to men, this is provably far from the case. If this were the case, bi men wouldn't also have worse statistics than mono-gay men. And a lot of times, bi men even have worse statistics than mono-lesbian women, as previously seen. And bi women's statistics then should theoretically be on par with or actually even less than, that of mono-straight women, which they evidently are not. Additionally, many of these studies have found that bi and other M-spec women's statistics remain high even in the context of soft relationships. Additionally, this wouldn't explain the worse healthcare outcomes, increased barriers to accessing healthcare, and underrepresentation in media. So clearly there's something more going on here. But Isabella, isn't this just more oppression Olympics? No. When we talk about bi and other M-spec women's oppression in the context of mono-privilege, we're not just discussing typical queer oppression or heterosexism, aka bigotry towards non-straight folks. We're discussing an entirely different axis of bigotry known as monosexism, in which the hierarchy is between mono folks such as mono gays, mono lesbians, and mono straight folks on top, with bi, pan, omni, and other M-spec folks on the bottom. This isn't in any way meant to downplay or invalidate the oppression that mono-queer folks experience in hierarchical relation to non-queer folks, or attempt to put them on the same hierarchical level as non-queer folks. It is merely meant to enable us to discuss that for bi and other M-spec folks, there is clearly something more going on. And this is very important for us to be able to do. At present, despite all of the issues that bi and other M-spec folks face due to monosexism, we only receive a mere 0.1% of queer-related funding. 0.1% of queer-related funding for a group that comprises the largest block of the queer community by far, and among that community faces some of the highest rates of intimate partner violence, sexual violence, poverty, underrepresentation, and adverse health outcomes. These are the consequences of these conversations being constantly shut down and ignored. If you truly care about helping all queer folks, amplify these discussions. Learn more about monosexism. Donate if you can, volunteer if you can, or even just share resources for other folks to learn, volunteer, and donate. And do whatever else you can to help bi and other M-spec folks. At the end of the day, society hates when their false binaries are disrupted. We see this with trans folks, especially non-binary folks. We see this with intersex folks, and we see this here with bi and other M-spec folks. Thank you for watching. Follow me on Twitter at IsabellaScar2. Follow me on Instagram at IsabellaScarlet_. Follow me on Blue Sky at IsabellaScarlet. And follow me on Tumblr at IsabellaScarlet1. Have an amazing day. Bye!